You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Cabral Concept. It's great to be here with you today. Can't wait to get into our Friday review. Excited to share with you all sorts of different things from my week overseas at World Medicine Week in Germany, going through a couple podcasts that I had the privilege of being on as an interviewee. Going over just a quick review of the Game Changers documentary that I talked about on Wednesday, and of course adding to my favorite foods list from the last couple of weeks that I want to share with you, new things that I've just been adding into my diet just for something different, something new, and just new experiences. That's really what it's all about. Healthy foods, making them fun to eat, and also very tasty. And then, of course, I'm going to bring you some research this week that I was not able to get to last week simply because I respect your time and don't want to take up too much on any one additional podcast, because the goal is to gradually and continually accumulate this knowledge, right? So the way that you master anything, and I want you to absolutely master your health, right? It's the most important thing you can do. Yes, relationships, family, career, all of those things are super important, but all of them get easier if you have your health, because they're easier if you have more energy, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. So what I want you to do is get to the healthy weight. Then after getting to a healthy weight, get your body healthy, right? Get your body healthy. And then also after that, work on anti-aging. And that's why, we're 1,300 plus podcasts in. I would love you to go back and listen to those. I would love you to continue to accumulate your functional medicine knowledge, or just functional health, right? Integrative health. That's what it's all about. Continue to learn, continue to grow. There's no race, there's nowhere to be, there's no place to get to, but the more that you continue to hear this message, the more you'll most likely take action. You'll start to live it. You'll share it with your children or your family, your coworkers, your community, your church, whoever it might be, whoever needs to hear it, right? Because you'll start to hear them say, oh, I wish I knew how to get rid of these migraines. You'll say, great, let me go listen to a show on migraines. Then let me share that with my friend who just spoke about it, right? That's what it's all about. It's paying it forward. It's learning it for ourselves and then sharing it with others. For 10 years, I learned all of this information for myself. From essentially 17 years old to 27. It was all about accumulating knowledge. It's all I did. Dozens of certifications, thousands upon thousands of books read, and finally got my answer. And now I'm simply trying to now pay it forward, trying to teach in every way that I can the message that I know works. And it's not just working for me, right? It would be one thing if it just worked for me, but it's what's been proven by modern science. And we're combining that with the 7 disciplines we use as an integrative health practitioner. Ayurveda, bioregulatory medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, orthomolecular medicine, functional medicine, Eastern-based philosophy. Now, again, you don't need to know all of these, right? But you just need to know as you hear these things and they speak to you, they do work. They really do. And they're proven in science. They've been working for thousands of years, and they work in clinical practice as well. So, all right. Enough about that, but I just want to let you know, from time to time, this is why I do what I do. And I also want you, though, to just say, oh, you might never, become an integrative health practitioner. You might never do whatever these things are. That's okay. Accumulate the knowledge. You're going to use it, at least for yourself, but most likely you're going to teach it to someone else. That's what it's all about. All right. So always I like to start the show with what's going on. What does our team have going on over at Equilibrium Nutrition? You know that I'm the founder of that company, that I formulate from that company. We use the cleanest ingredients. We use those proven to work in published studies. So what we have this week is a Great giveaway. I mean, I love doing these things because I love sharing with you products that I use every day. Last week was omega-3 support. Why? I use it every day. Right? And so do the majority of the people in our practice as well. Now, the other part to that is when I have a cheat meal, and I'll be talking about Germany in just a moment, which was like a giant cheat week. Not exactly, but close to it, much more so than I'm typically used to. And the gluten and dairy support is an enzyme formula that helps you better break down gluten and dairy. But it also, not a lot of people know this, it also works great with a vegan or a diet that includes a lot of beans, legumes, lentils, etc., because it helps break those down so they don't cause as much bloating or as much gas. So you can use gluten and dairy support 1, 2, or 3 capsules before the meal, and you can actually take some after if you want, especially for like a big holiday coming up in the U.S. like Thanksgiving. You take it before the meal, and then you can take it again if you're doing like dessert afterwards. So it works great. I literally bring a bottle and I put it on the table with my family and then my wife's family. And so that is, we go through a bottle in a day, and there's a lot of people using it. But again, we're using it because it works. What does it do? Well, it helps you better break down gluten in the food or dairy in the food, as well as all the different fructans and other enzymes that help to break down certain carbohydrates in your beans, legumes, lentils as well. All right, so over at equilibriumnutrition.com, you can head there before this Sunday while supplies last, of course. And you can get your bottle absolutely free, $39.95 value, and a great product to have on hand. And if it only is needed once a week for your cheat meal, great. That's all you'll use it for. And you can also use it for those meals where you might have a little bit more beans or something like that. All right, enjoy. Up next, I want to, actually, before I get to my Germany-based review, I'd love to be able to go over 2 podcasts I was just on. And the first podcast was called the Almost 30 Podcast. And the Almost 30 Podcast is hosted by Krista and Lindsay. And they invited me on, and it was a great conversation. And that's how a podcast should be. I know I'm always saying I'm going to try to invite more people in the Cabral concept, and I want to do that. The only reason I don't, I'm going to be honest with you, is because of time. It takes so long with all of these busy people's schedules to try to get a time that coordinates well with people. And since I only have this certain gap on Tuesday afternoons where I can do them, it doesn't always work to line all of these things up. But I want to do in the future because I love having conversations with other people about this great field of health, fitness, wellness, weight loss, anti-aging. So I was on their show. They were nice enough to have me on. It was episode 270. It's called Functional and Traditional Medicine to Treat the Whole Body with Dr. Stephen Cabral. We will link everything up today, and there's going to be a lot of links. So head on over to stephencabral.com, and I will get you that show number in 1 second. So stephencabral.com/podcast is where all the episodes live, and you can search previous episodes there. Today is episode 1379, though. So head on over to stephencabral.com/1379, and I will link up or embed, if I can, the actual show I did on Almost 30. Very well received. Lots of people talking about it. And again, I'm really happy that I was able to share my message with them. 2 really great women, and it was really nice talking with them about all things Ayurveda, talking about detox, talking about hormones. So we had a really nice chat, and again, I will link that up. So check out that show on the Almost 30 podcast. And the second show I did was with AJ over on My 7 Chakras, and that is the name of his podcast. I actually believe we started our podcast around the same time because I'm not positive about this, but I remember seeing his podcast like back in the day. When you first start something, you're checking iTunes and you're saying like, oh, how's the show doing and all that. Now I don't look at it anymore, to be honest. I record, I love what I do, and I do it because I truly am passionate about sharing this message with people. I know that it works, and a lot of people, they need to hear it, right? Like, it's just what it's about. And for me, in the stage of my career where I'm at, that's really what it's all about. I love to write, I love to speak, and anyway, the more I can do that, the more I feel like I'm in my zone. But I was talking with AJ, super nice guy, into all forms of medicine, and Ayurveda being one of them. Obviously, the show's name is My 7 Chakras. We just spoke about the chakras yesterday, so hopefully you tuned into yesterday's show as well. 1378 was yesterday's show. And we had a great conversation. So it was really nice getting to speak with him as well. That is on video, which is always fun too. We did it live on video. And then he's got an interesting way of doing it. They do it live, release on video, or you can watch it while it's live, and then it comes down, and then it gets published again as video and as a podcast. So what I'm going to do is if I can find that video, I'll embed it over at today's show notes, stephencabral.com/1379, and I'll also link out to his podcast as well. He's got a great podcast, really level, good energy kind of guy, and really enjoyed the fun, educational conversation we had together as well. So check out AJ, tell him I said hello on social media, and his podcast being My 7 Chakras. Okay. Shows I was on, so I want to give you a little update from World Medicine Week in Baden-Baden, Germany. Now, I've known about World Medicine Week for a couple years now, and mainly got interested just about 2 years ago. Yeah, just about 2 years ago, when I was asked by the Bioregulatory Medicine Institute in the United States, because Bioregulatory Medicine Institute is actually worldwide, main one being in Germany, and then we have the US-based contingency over here. So the Bioregulatory Medicine Institute is a nonprofit, and they asked me to be on the advisory board, which I was happy to do. It's a great organization promoting bioregulatory medicine, which I've been about for quite some time, about a decade now. So when I got the opportunity to go over to World Medicine Week and be invited there, I jumped at it. I couldn't do it last year. I wanted to make it happen this year. And it was exciting for me, even though the majority of it was in German. People in Europe, fortunately for us Americans, who aren't as linguistically inclined, we'll say, and don't speak multiple languages, I was able to converse with everyone over there, and it was really, really great. I always feel bad, I really do, as an American, not being able to speak multiple languages. I can get by with French. It took 7 years of that. But certainly not with German in the least. But I did my best. I had fun, really enjoyed it. It is a great event. It really is. I mean, 4,000 plus doctors, 300 plus exhibitors, a lot of fun being able to be at that event. And my main takeaways from the event were, so if you're someone that's looking into natural cancer-based treatments, you'd be hard-pressed to find better centers than you would in Germany or in Switzerland. And I've talked about some of those before, but I recommend that if you're looking for multiple different options, that you might look into some of them over in Germany as well as Switzerland and the high-tech based technology they have to help the body heal. So that's all. I'll leave it at that, and I'll let you decide what is always best for you. It's not my job to tell you what's best for you. It's my job to simply present you with options. The other thing that I'm looking at, I've looked at them for quite a while, but a certain type of bioresonance-based machine. So I do a lot of lab testing. That's obviously no surprise to anyone because I get direct results of what I need. But typically they take 3 to 4 weeks for a turnaround, and there's a little bit of time. So I have an electron microscope in my office. I've used that for many, many years, but I'm also looking into bioresonance. But for me, you really have to understand one thing about me is I'm the biggest skeptic, right? So a lot of people say, oh, I'm skeptical about natural medicine. I'm like, well, to be honest, be more skeptical about conventional medicine because conventional medicine's only been around for about 100 years, right? But natural medicine has been around for thousands of years. So I'm going to bet on what's stuck around for thousands of years, more so than I will on conventional medicine. Now, having said that, you always want to look at conventional medicine for life-saving treatments, right? So someone's having a heart attack, a stroke, they need surgery. Trust me, right? I'm recommending one of the big hospitals. I'm recommending going to the best. There's no doubt about that. But I get it because I'm a skeptic. I really am. And I talked about that yesterday on the show about chakras, and I talked about it with the flow and how they work. But I said I'm open to it. I'm always open to it. That's what it's all about. So I'm staying open as well to new devices. And I think there is something to it. But what I want to do is I always want to be the person to match it up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to match those up versus lab tests. So if a bioresonance machine tells me, oh, I'm a little low on zinc or I'm a little low on this, I'll say, okay, the same day I do the bioresonance, I'm going to send in a lab then to see what my zinc levels are, to send in whatever it is. So anyway, I'm excited about that because, again, I'm open to everything. You have to stay open. And the reason is a closed mind stops learning. And no matter where you're at, you can't stop learning. That's why, doctors are done with medical school. Naturopathic doctor is pretty much done with medical school by about the age of 28 or so. Typically, maybe, right around there, 28 years old, 26 years old. And medical doctors about the same, 28, maybe to 30. And then they're not reading any more books after that. They're not really reading a ton of research after that because they're in their profession. So you're telling me now from the age of 28 to maybe when you start practicing at 68, so those 40 years, you're not doing any more real reading or research? I mean, I'll tell you right now, and obviously you shouldn't do this, but I'm in the field. Most doctors are not reading a book a month. They're not reading a book a year because they learn what they need to learn. And if there's a new update, then they learn about the new update. And again, I'm not coming down on anyone. I'm not saying, because this is how it's typically done. What I'm saying is, though, keep your mind open. There's always more to learn. Just because you took 4 years of higher education doesn't mean you could possibly learn everything in 4 years. It's only another, when you look at it and you're putting in maybe 1,600 to 2,000 hours, a year, you're looking at over 4 years. Okay, what, 8,000 hours? Okay, that's good. It's good, right? But not 40 years, not 10x that. How much more can you learn in 10x that? It's unbelievable. So keep on learning, keep reading, keep studying, no matter who you are, whatever your field is, keep going. You'll stay more passionate about it, and you'll be able to serve more people for sure. Okay, so again, I love Germany. I love Germany for the people. I love Germany for the culture. It was so great. I had the opportunity and really grateful that I was able to do this. I wanted my family to come with me. It wasn't going to be easy, right? I have 2 daughters. They're 5 and 7 years old now. And we had to take an overnight flight over there. They've never done an overnight flight. How are they going to do only getting 4 hours of sleep? But my girls are troopers. They are great. And we had we had a great trip. We really did. So I was at the event for about 3 days, 3.5 days, and then we had about 3.5 days to explore. And we went all over the south of Germany and southwest mainly. And it was amazing. It really was, going through the mineral springs and eating our way through Germany and being able to see all sorts of different sites. So it was great. And one thing I can share with you, again, like people are always saying, how do Europeans stay thinner? How do Europeans live longer than the U.S., right? Well, trust me, Europeans are leaner on average than Americans. There's no doubt about it, without a doubt. And Germany's part of that. And the eating is not better. It's not really cleaner. But here's the big thing. They do not consume 3 massive meals a day. They don't consume 2 massive meals a day. It's 1 larger meal typically. And they're eating, there's like oatmeal, muesli for breakfast, maybe a pastry for lunch, kind of the same, or a small sandwich they'll grab, or, just something small. And then at night they'll typically have their dinner. And it's not necessarily a healthy dinner. I found it very difficult to eat healthy in Germany. I really did. Found it very difficult. I had to go out of my way to find healthier options. Now, the nice thing is at World Medicine Week, when I was at the conference there, at lunch, they had beets with farro, and they had zucchini boats with it was excellent. It really was. And they're having dairy, though, over in Germany, and there's lots of wheat and all these different things, but they don't have all the glyphosate. They don't have all the pesticide-based sprays. It's not as much, right? So that's a big, big difference. And they don't consume as much food in general, hugely helpful, right? But they do smoke. They certainly drink beer. And the other thing that I would say, too, is that they walk more, though. I had to walk a lot while I was over there, right? So all of that matters. It really does. But cutting down on your overall consumption of food in general is a game changer. I spoke about that on let's go into that on Wednesday's show, Game Changers. So I want people to understand, and I had a difficult time reviewing that because I need 2 hours to talk about it. But I had about 30 minutes, 35 minutes. I went a little longer on that day's show. What I want people to understand is this, is that we use a variety of diets. We have our diet for people on a gut healing protocol. We have a diet for those people with inflammatory bowel-based issues. We have a diet for people with super high blood pressure or cholesterol. We have a diet for people with rheumatoid arthritis or joint-based pain. So you have to understand, there isn't a diet for all people. But what I wanted to get across in that show, and I'm actually going to share some research with you later today in just a moment because I know I only have a few more minutes of your time, is you have to try to keep your protein consumption between 10 and 19% per day, not more than that. You have to keep, being the most important thing, your fruits and vegetables at 7 to 9 servings per day. Now, when you're eating 2 to 3 cups of fruits and vegetables at every single meal, it crowds out a lot of the foods that you shouldn't be eating, right? So it makes eating so much easier and so much healthier. If you are eating to start your meal, let's just say, 2 cups of broccoli, and on the side, maybe add a little spinach or something, a cup of that, that's a lot of food, a lot of fiber. You're doing a lot of chewing. It's going to satiate you. Then on the side, let's say you have half an avocado or you did some olive oil with it, you have some sprouts. Your protein of choice, it's not the biggest deal in the world, right? As long as it's small. That's what I was getting at. And as long as, again, we have to begin to understand that there are real research studies. People will try to poke holes in them. Don't be that person. I'm telling you why. Don't bet your life on it, because you are. You're betting your life on it if you believe that processed meat or red meat is healthy for you. Because there's enough studies right now saying that most likely not. Certainly not bacon. Certainly not. Certainly not salami and processed meat. Now you might say, oh, well, I eat elk or I eat venison. Yes, those are going to be much healthier choices for you. There's no doubt about it. But small amounts, okay? Smaller amounts. Do I eat eggs? Yeah, I eat about 1 or 2 eggs every single week, right? That's it, once a week. What I'm telling you to do is just to come back on your consumption of animal-based protein. Switch more towards fish, like I spoke about on Wednesday. Keep things simple, because diet can really be simple. If you're going to have animal-based protein or fish or chicken, poultry, eggs, 1 meal a day. Keep the rest, if you can, more plant-based. There's no downside. I really want people to know that there's no downside. People are like, oh, well, you be low on B12. Sure, you might be. But so are the people who eat a lot of meat as well, right? You could take daily nutritional support. You could take activated multivitamin. You could take an activated B complex. Easy to do. You can also get your zinc from things like pumpkin seeds. You can get it from spinach. You can get it from other places. So again, there's ways to do this. And I want to just share with you, why don't I do this? Because again, I don't want to make this a longer podcast as well. So I'm just going to share one research study with you today that kind of proves this point. And I want people to know, don't get overly fixated and don't become too dogmatic about your diet. Really, I mean, honestly, Michael Pollan said it best. Eat food, not too much, mostly green. And I would just replace that. Instead of mostly green, I would say a rainbow. That's it, right? A rainbow of colors. You get benefits from your oranges, your yellows, your blues, your purples. And I did a podcast on as well as how they all help with the body. And I'm not saying that you can't eat some meat or some fish or some eggs. What I'm saying is it has to be a small part of your diet. All right, I'll get to that in just one moment. Now, favorite food of the week that I had over in Germany. I want to give you a healthy one I had over in Germany. Stayed at a really nice hotel, and they had a really nice spread for breakfast. But again, instead of eating the deli meats, instead of eating all the bacon, I tried to start it clean. I started with a clean-based diet. And again, bring your shakes, right? So easy to travel with. But here's what they made 2 of the days. I want to give you both because it was delicious. Chopped up apple, really, really small pieces, just cubes, and then small cubes as well of beets, right? Cooked beets, all chopped up. Now, this was done with a little bit of olive oil, and they put a little bit, I think, of apple cider vinegar or maybe a little bit of balsamic in there. Put a little bit of cinnamon or a little spice on it, and they chopped walnuts and put that in as well. So it's basically a hearty fall-based salad. Chopped apple, chopped beet. Okay, the other one they did that I thought was equally as great was chopped celery and chopped beet. So we got our root vegetables, the same type of spices in there. Actually, they added chopped walnuts to that, but then they added in a little bit of parsley or a little bit of cilantro. And it was really nice. So that was a great one. I mean, you could add that to dinner if you wanted to, just some chopped root vegetables. One of the days the beets were fermented, the other days just cooked. Really, really nice. Enjoyed that. Super simple. Just diced into cubes an apple. This was a green apple, just to let you know, instead of a red apple. And then you have your beets, right? You could even buy, if you wanted to, some fermented beets if you'd like to do that, but totally up to you. And then add a little spice, a little olive oil if you want, a little bit of ACV, apple cider vinegar, mix it all around, add in a little bit of cinnamon or spice if you'd like, maybe a little bit of cilantro if you choose to. And if you want, crush some walnuts, put that in as well. Really delicious. It was excellent. So wanted to share that with you. All right, now just a little bit of research to end today's show. I think you're going to like this because, again, here's the thing. The reason why I'm giving you this information and sharing it in this way is that it is unbiased. I don't care who's right, but I've read enough now to know that going heavy on meat is not going to be healthy for you. There's always outliers in life. People could eat a pound of steak every single day and live to 90 years old. There's always going to be an outlier. There always will be. People will survive car crashes by being ejected from the car from not wearing your seatbelt. Here's the thing. I'm going to wear my seatbelt every single time because that quarter, tenth, 100,000th of a percent when it's best not to wear your seatbelt, I don't want to take that chance. I'm going to always bet safe. And betting safe is this. Don't go overboard with your red meat. Definitely stay away as much as you can away from processed meats. Okay? So just, again, bet safe. That's all I'm saying. You can still eat your meat. You can still eat your fish. You can still eat your eggs if you want. Just much less. Check this out. So this was done in the International Journal of Cardiology. Obviously a very prestigious magazine. Now, this was done August 2019. Very, very recent. Okay. So this was done right here in Boston. Okay. I'm very familiar with this. Researchers at Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center examined the effects of 3 healthy diets emphasizing different macronutrients, carbs, proteins, and unsaturated fats. Okay. So not saturated fats. And here's what they found. They went with a normal diet. Let's say 50, 60% coming from carbs. But remember, when I say 50, 60%, I don't mean that we're taking in a lot of rice or even a lot of bread or anything like that. No. We're talking about majority of those being more fruits and vegetables. Well, here's the thing that they found. If you took that majority carbohydrate diet and you changed 10% of it to protein, a lean protein, okay, I'm going to share with that in just a second, or 10% more fat, took off 10% of the carbs, it didn't change the results of helping to improve overall heart health and inflammation. Okay? So, why this is important? Again, this is a 2-year study. This is a legitimate study. Average participant age, 53.6 years old. Okay? 55% were African Americans and 45% overall were women. So we have a diverse study here emphasizing carbs, protein, and unsaturated fats. Went for 6-week feeding periods and then took out the 6 weeks, did it again. I mean, this is, again, it's a very well-controlled study. What they found was this. What would unsaturated fats be? Avocado, olive oil, nuts, adding a little bit more of those. What are we talking? Mediterranean, just like I finished Wednesday's show on, Mediterranean diet. So let's go back to this again. Here's what they found. Why don't I just read it to you? All 3 healthy diets reduced heart injury and inflammation and acted quickly within a 6-week period, meaning like they got results within 6 weeks. And we test this all the time in our practice as well. However, changing the macronutrients of the diet did not provide extra benefits. This is important for 2 reasons. First, the effects of diet on heart injury are rapid, and cardiac injury can be reduced soon after adopting a healthy diet. Second, it's not the type of the diet that matters for cardiac injury, high or lower fat. Again, we're only changing it by 10% though. High or low carb, but rather the overall healthfulness of the diet. And they considered healthfulness of the diet to include at least 4 to 6 servings of fruits and vegetables every day. So remember, again, what I was talking about on Wednesday, what's the most important thing you add to your diet? 4 to 6 cups. 7 to 9 is what I say, of fruits and vegetables every single day. Check this out though. There are multiple debates about dietary carbs and fat. But the message from our data is clear. Eating a balanced diet rich in fruits and vegetables, lean meats, and high in fiber, and is restricted in red meats, sugary beverages, and sweets will not only improve cardiovascular risk factors, but also reduce direct injury to the heart. Hopefully, these findings will resonate with adults as they shop in grocery stores and with health practitioners providing counsels in clinics throughout the country. That is what I'm going to leave you with today. If you're a health practitioner, if you're a health coach, always bet safe. Betting safe is 2 to 3 cups of fruits or vegetables at each meal. Ideally, it's going to be mainly vegetables. You're going to go 10 to 19% of the diet maximum in protein. You're going to use leaner types of protein or vegan-based sources of protein. Your fat's going to be probably somewhere around 20 to 30% for the day. If you do that, you almost can't go wrong. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning into today's show. Please do feel free to share this information with anyone it can serve because, trust me, we're the only ones that are getting this information out to other people. So thanks so much. Take care. And I'll be back tomorrow answering your questions on this weekend's Cabral House Calls. Thank you so much for just tuning into the show. And as a small token of my appreciation, my team and I have put together another offer from EquilibriumNutrition.com. Now, We don't typically do giveaways back to back. I don't think it's ever been done. Our team looked at it. We haven't seen that we've ever done it before, but here's why we wanted to do it. We wanted to get you a bottle of our gluten and dairy support enzyme supplement. This is a nutritional supplement that better helps you break down dairy, wheat, gluten-based products, as well as beans, legumes, and other hard-to-digest foods. The nice thing is this. With the holidays coming up, we wanted to make sure that you had a bottle for you and your family. So when that inevitable flex meal, cheat meal, or dairy, gluten, beans, things like that come up, you can simply take 1 or 2 capsules with that meal, before the meal if you can. If not, anytime during the meal is okay. It will help you to prevent a lot of that bloating and indigestion. It's a product that we always have around the family, whether it's holidays or barbecues, things like that. For sure, we use it all the time in my household. For kids, you can actually just open up the capsules and sprinkle a little bit on food if you choose to. For younger kids, we sometimes mix it in a little bit of homemade applesauce or pear puree, something like that, and that works as well. This is a great product, $39.95 value. Yours free on any purchase over $99 while supplies last. This is the very first time we've done back-to-back giveaways. Hopefully you took advantage of last week's. And what we want to do is simply make sure that you're prepared, that you have all the same things that I do for my family and that we do in our wellness-based community. Because why not, right? We're all trying to live a healthier lifestyle, but at the same time, we know the inevitable bread, pasta, whatever type of cheats might come in. So you can still use your daily digestive enzyme support, okay? Daily digestive support still works, but you add a little bit more anytime you have that gluten, that dairy, those beans, the legumes. That will cause less of the bloating, help you to improve overall digestion. Feel free to take a look at the product before. If you've never heard about it, head on over to equilibriumnutrition.com, and while supplies last, get your free bottle, $39.95 value on all purchases over $99. Take care, everyone. Before you go, I wanted to share a personal story with you. The real reason I began to get well finally is because I figured out what was wrong with me. And that might seem pretty obvious, but I went from doctor to doctor for over 2 years before discovering at-home functional medicine lab testing. These are the labs that enabled me to finally figure out what was wrong with my hormones, blood sugar, electrolytes, and gut health. And once I knew what was wrong, I could then follow a proven plan in order to rebalance my body from the inside out. This is why I believe so strongly in functional medicine lab testing and why I've made it my mission to share these labs with the world. Now at equa.life, you can order an at-home lab test or lab bundle for you and your family and be able to complete it within the week. Plus, the EquaLife difference is that you're not left to try to read and figure out these labs on your own. We explain what your lab numbers mean, what they mean in the much bigger picture, and then how to go about rebalancing your body in order to heal. To see our full selection of lab tests or to set up a free lab selection call to find out what labs may be best for you, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. And do remember, we ship these all over the world. To find out more and to set up your free lab selection call, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. That's EQUI.LIFE/labs.